recorded live at 4ZZZ Studios, Meanjin, Brisbane
on 102.1 FM.
And broadcast across Australia on the Community Radio Network.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Zed Games brings you the best in gaming news, reviews, community and culture. Want to reach out?
Share your hot take?
Or do you just want to share your favourite game?
Find us on socials at Zed Games AU.
Hello. You're listening to Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is
Hazel
and
Rani.
Woo!
It's me. I'm back.
You keep coming back. And that's because I don't think you ever really leave. I think you just sort of fade into the walls.
Yes.
And then you pop out whenever we need you.
Yeah.
You're like a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
Like a chameleon. I was thinking more of the Davy Jones kind of situation from Pirates of the
part
Caribbean.
of the ship, part of the crew.
I'm thinking Danny Phantom.
Ooh,
Danny Phantom.
Going Ghost.
I like that as well.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Which is incidentally what I do to everybody I ever match with on Tinder. All right.
But we're not here to talk about relationships and
it's a game.
Popping out of true. The real game is love. But we're here also to talk about things like the week in gaming news and probably some gaming reviews and some gaming discussion.
Is this a video game radio show?
It could
I'm
be.
starting to suspect it might be.
I've only been here for 4 years, and I'm not entirely certain.
Well, while we're trying to figure out who we are, very appropriate for the end of the year, I feel, we're going to listen to the Week in Gaming News, presented by the very, very, very talented Caroline.
What's this? Crawling out of the wasteland that is the post-Christmas, pre-New Year period? It's some news! GTA 6 hacker sentenced. Arion Kurtaj, a member of the international hacker group Lapsus, has been sentenced after a cyber attack on Rockstar Games in 2022, which led to the leaking of about 90 videos of footage from the unreleased GTA 6. The hack in question was made while Kurtaj was in bail in police custody for prior hacking using an Amazon Fire Stick, his hotel TV, and a mobile phone, as his laptop was confiscated at the time. Due to his continued intent to return to hacking as soon as he is able, and the high risk to the public because of this, he will be confined to a secure hospital for life, unless regarded by doctors to be no longer a threat. China cracking down on gacha mechanics. New laws have been proposed by the Chinese government to reduce consumer spending in online games and to combat predatory practices. This would include implementing a spending limit and prohibiting incentives such as daily login bonuses or rewards for using real money for the first time. In addition, the laws would require studios to have reasonable drop rates in loot box and gacha mechanics. After this proposal was announced, the share prices of Tencent and NetEase, two of the largest gaming companies in China, fell 16% and 25% respectively. In response to this, the regulator said that it will study the industry's reaction and improve the draft rules. So it remains to be seen what changes to the regulations will be made and how they will be implemented. Video games help with depression? A study undertaken in Germany and published in Frontiers in Psychiatry, titled Effects of a Video Game Intervention on Symptoms, Training Motivation and Visuospatial Memory in Depression, has shown that using Super Mario Odyssey as an intervention for a period of the 6-week trial resulted in more significant reduction of depression symptoms than of the participants who underwent standard treatment or used a cognitive training computer program. The study aimed to investigate whether playing video games could help people with the cognitive deficits associated with major depressive disorder, specifically mood, training motivation, and visuospatial memory functions. That is, the ability to retain and process an object's identity and spatial location. The participants of the study were 46 individuals who have been diagnosed with depression and who do not frequently play video games in their leisure time. The participants in the video game group were shown to have a significant decrease of depressive symptoms, as well as higher levels of motivation to perform the training. This is following a study published in 2020. Trauma, Treatment and Tetris. Video gaming increases hippocampal volume in male patients with combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, where, in addition to therapy, participants played Tetris for 60 minutes a day, resulting in reductions of the symptoms of PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And that's all this week in gaming news.
Thank you so much for the week in gaming news, Caroline. And can I also just say that last story has me feeling extremely vindicated, Mum. Just saying, don't want to name names, but perhaps there are some similar responses out there. I don't know.
I feel like doing anything that really stimulates your brain activity is going to help with overcoming mental stuff. Like,
Or make it worse.
I feel like doing puzzles, doing brain training stuff.
Oh my god,
having
who
a hobby
remembers
that,
brain
like-
training on the DS?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, I love
You know
brain
what?
training.
Now that I think about it, that might have been the happiest time of my life.
It was definitely a simpler time.
Yeah, it may have also been because I was 10, but you know.
I mean, well, look, 10-year-olds also had problems going on.
But is it only particularly effective for depression if you don't already play video games as a leisurely activity? Like,
I imagine it would probably have a much more obvious impact if you've never played video games before. It is a very different type of media compared to, like, say, movies or a book. It's very interactive. You can be very immersed. So
obviously, League of Legends doesn't count.
No.
That one's not going to
that
help
one
you.
will
I'm
probably
sorry.
do the opposite, I would imagine. And I think that's the thing. Not all games will improve your mental health. Some of
Yeah.
them will. Moderation.
I
you know?
think
Yeah.
the point is that you're doing something mentally engaging, you're forming new neural pathways,
Yeah.
and encouraging your brain to be active and changing, which probably stops you being quite as set into negative rhythms. But if the game also has horrible toxic elements like League of Legends, that's going to undo all of that.
Oh yeah. Specifically League of Legends. I'm sorry, not to hate on people who play League of Legends, but you know, I had a historically bad time.
I think
with
they
that
know.
game.
I think
Yeah.
they know.
Oh, but like, there is also a benefit to having a game that could be an outlet for any frustration you might be experiencing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've played Left 4 Dead, just like you take care of the hordes, and it's a bit of catharsis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's something to be said for games that most people find maybe objectively a little bit depressing that might actually still be really good for you. Like, I got a lot out of Life is Strange. Did I
Yeah.
cry like a baby? Yes. Was that good for me? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I feel seen? Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's the same as music, writing, poetry.
Yes.
It's almost like these are all forms of art and expression of...
No, how dare you?
Video games aren't art. What are you talking about?
That's so weird. While we're thinking about what is and isn't art, my name is Zahra. This is Zed Games, and with me in the studio tonight is Hazel and Rani.
Hey.
Hello.
Good hellos there. You were mid-yawn
I was
during
mid-yawn.
your
Could you
hello,
tell?
which is so valid. It's been a hot day. I'm ready for a nap.
I'm very tired. And also, I was fixated on the banana on a donkey over there.
Yeah, listeners, there's a whole lot of just stuff around the studio. You know
It's
what it's
staring
like.
at me.
There's a
Don't
crushed
look at me.
trumpet,
Look at me. Look at
like,
me.
stuck to the wall.
And now look at Hazel, because Hazel has something for us. What
I
you
do
for
have
us?
something. I have a review of a little party game called Toasterball.
Toasterball.
Is that where you put toast into a bowl? How do you make a bowl out of toast?
Well, I think we're about to find out, Rani.
Toasterball is a silly little 3-button local-only multiplayer sports game for 1 to 4 players, where you and your opponents play as toaster athletes. That is, you are toasters who are athletes who play a ball game.
I thought it was more like who can make toast the fastest in the morning, and that was what makes you a toaster athlete.
Yeah, see, if you play that game, parents might get angry
No,
at you.
this is a
It's not even
toaster
the
who is an
firework.
athlete.
Okay.
All right. It's developed and published by a French indie studio called Les Crafteurs, who specialize in weird and wacky games to play together on the couch with friends and family. The game has a very friendly cartoon art style and a distinct sense of humor. It loves to pretend that it's taking itself very seriously as a professional esport and allows you to choose your toaster from a cast of athletes that are based on popular appliance brands with their own biographies and nicknames.
One of them looks like a cat litter box.
Can you please?
There's one that's called Smog rather than Smeg, for example.
What about the
What's the-
toaster athlete that represents Australia?
Oh yes, there's an upside down toaster
I love
where
that.
the toast comes out of the bottom.
Of course.
They all function exactly the same, but they have cute little differences.
Some of them win more than others. That's just a fact.
Oh, the ones that I play.
It's luck. It's luck.
It's luck until you win.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's all skill, baby. The gameplay consists of 2 teams called the Burners and Defrosters competing against each other in a little 2D arena to get a bouncy ball into their opponent's goal. Each team has 1 to 2 players, or optionally you can have AI bots fill in places. And the controls are just 1 button each for pulling down and releasing the lever on your toaster's 2 slots, and 1 extra button for picking up any toast that falls on the floor. Each time you let go of one of your levers, your toaster will hurl a slice of toast into the air and do a little hop from the force of the ejection. And with a little practice, you'll soon be using your toast and even your toaster itself to block and redirect the ball in a series of skillful maneuvers, allowing you to score
Skill.
on the enemy goal.
It's not luck. It's skill.
Skillful might be the wrong word.
What's that? The line again? What is it? I can't remember. You'll figure it out.
Go on, Hazel.
10%
Yes.
skill. Fort Minor, okay. While the bouncing of the ball is rather predictable, the control you exert over it is so intentionally flimsy and ineffective and inaccurate that many games are won by mistake, own goals, or pure happenstance.
No, it's all skill.
Yeah.
Are all of the games that are won by happenstance and luck, and all of that, the ones that you lost?
Maybe.
Yes.
But Rani, correlation does not equal causation.
No.
Yeah.
No. This I know as a scientist.
It's pure coincidence. This is made all the more chaotic by the fact that every round of the game features a different randomly selected variant or minigame. In one round, you may be plagued by portals unceremoniously dumping you on the wrong side of the arena. In another, you might find yourself blessed with the power to fire infinite toast.
Extremely powerful.
These variants, paired with the ineffectual controls, make the game itself as much of a hated enemy as the sibling sitting next to you on the couch. Most of all, the detestable invisible variant, where the ball comes in and out of your vision constantly.
I don't like invisible.
This isn't to say that the game isn't fun or competitive. Toasterball has learned the secret of many party games like Mario Party. I just almost said patio games.
Cardio games.
Yes.
They're like cardio games, and they're like party games, and they're like Mario games.
This sounds amazing. Okay, we'll workshop this
That
later.
secret is
You're a
to
game
make
dev.
sure that the game throws so many obstacles and random chances to succeed at the players that all of your practiced pro gamer skills are useless in the face of your mum getting her 5th lucky shot on you and wiping the floor.
Don't worry, nobody was injured at Family Christmas.
No.
No.
Maybe
be-
some egos.
I did have an asthma attack, but that was just because it was really funny.
Yeah. It'll have you screaming at the screen with joy and pride at your win one moment and screaming at the screen in agony at your loss the next.
It was all Hazel.
You really have no control. You really have no control. You can do your best. There are a few things I should bring up before I wrap this up, which is that there is a solo mode for the game, but it doesn't add a story campaign or anything. It's just the same game, but you play against a bot by yourself. So maybe good if you want to get some practice in so that you can demolish at the next family gathering,
You
which
could
you won't because
toast
you
the
will still
opponent.
lose randomly half the time.
I can't.
There's no online or network gameplay, so everything is local only. You can only play with people who are in the same room as you on the couch.
All the better to
Unless
push them off the couch.
Yes.
Unless you're playing on PC and you're using external tools like Parsec or something.
But that's no fun, because then you can't push your sibling off the couch.
You
when
can't
they're-
just
Exactly,
like glare at them and just
exactly.
like, "Oh, how dare you?"
Yeah, I'm not encouraging any violence, but I probably
You
would have
can't
pushed my
poke them in the
brother off
ribs with your elbow
Exactly.
to throw them off as
And
the
just
ball's
say, it's
going
just
into their
how
goal.
I hold my controller. What are you on?
I need to be like moving around this
I'm
much.
not touching you.
There aren't really any accessibility options, but at the same time, the game is so simple that it kind of doesn't need them.
3 buttons, right?
It's 3 buttons, and it's really obvious what's happening on screen, except for when it isn't, and then it's not obvious to anyone.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
would be a really easy one to use with an adaptive controller, I'm sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And finally, the music, it's pretty basic. It's just got this simple little rock soundtrack, but you
I don't
barely
even
notice
remember it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you barely
Yeah.
even notice it among all of the like screaming and the crowd cheering sound effects and everything.
Yeah.
Sound effects. That was just all of us spectators
that was all
on
us,
the couch.
baby.
Yeah.
We were providing our own
Every
sound
time you
effects.
score, the crowd cheers and everything.
And we
both,
also
both
cheer.
in the room and in the game.
Yeah.
It's really synced up, so you barely even notice the game sound. Overall, I think Lecrafter have left quite a bit of potential on the table for this game when it comes to those features that I talked about, like a single-player campaign or online multiplayer. But at the same time, the game is very cheap, and it's still a fantastic party game, so I really don't think there's much to complain about there. It's an absolute riot no matter where you choose to play. It's the perfect excuse to yell at your TV with your friends.
Or at
and
your friends.
Yeah.
just a great way to spend time with people. I can definitely recommend it if you enjoy party games that are easy to pick up. It's been available for PC since May 2023, and as of November 2023, it's now available on Switch as well. We played a review copy of it on Switch with code from the developer.
And it was pretty awesome. I think like the first time we actually really played it was I brought it to a friend's Friendmas party, and you know, not everyone was comfortable with like a Switch or anything, but like I was able to just plug it in, dock it, hand out the controllers. It probably took longer to just sync up the controllers to the Switch than it did to actually learn how to play the game. And once the game got started, tons of fun. And just like all the game modes that pop up, like floor is lava, zero gravity, the floor is now electrified.
Pong.
Oh, Pong.
It just turns into Pong for a bit.
All right.
Yeah,
Bet.
which is so much fun. Probably my favorite game mode. But while we're thinking about Toast,
So you're listening to Zed Games, is that it?
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Hello, you're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games. You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
You're listening to Zed Games.
Perfect. Thank you. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is Hazel and Rani. They're not saying hi right now because we're about to hop into a review of The Invincible.
You are alone, your body weighed down by fatigue and an alien atmosphere. Looking around, your head screams with pain, vision blurring for a moment. Eventually, you manage to regain your bearings, enough to realize that you have no memory of where you are or why you're there. There is no one else around. Your radio isn't working. But there are field notes, scribblings on a hand-drawn map, and eventually, you piece together the basics. You're on a planet called Regis 3, and you didn't come here alone. Where is everyone? Why did you all split up? Why are you alone? What happened to your memory? How much oxygen do you have left? What happens to you when it runs out? These are all questions you explore and hopefully answer in The Invincible, and there will be more questions. But for now, we need to get moving. We need to get on out of here. Come on, up you get. Come with me. Developed by Starwood Industries and published by 11-Bit Studios, The Invincible is an adaptation of the novel by the same name, originally published in 1964. It is described as an adventure exploration game, all in the first-person perspective of Yasna, with a branching narrative. I would describe it as a very beautiful, very immersive and compelling walking simulator with a stunning retro-futuristic aesthetic. The environments are gorgeous and so eerily empty, conveying an almost blissful peace on this deserted planet. Blissful, except for the strange metallic network that extends beneath the surface of the planet. The fact that the planet is technically capable of supporting life that, for seemingly no reason, has never left its strange ocean in millions of years. Or except for the uncomfortable realization that you and your lost team aren't the only ones here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The game itself is quite straightforward. Using your environment, your notes, and a bit of reasoning, you need to navigate the vast landscapes of Regis 3. You'll have a journal, a map for recording your environment and route, a scanner, and a few other tools. Thankfully, in time, you will regain radio contact with your astrogator, astral navigator, and Yasna will have someone to talk to. Maybe not the friendliest guy, but he is a friend. Unfortunately, he is stuck in orbit with a broken leg, but he does know what is going on. Mostly. So, tasked with finding the rest of the crew, you set out. And this is how the bulk of the game will play out. As you uncover the weirdness of this planet, you'll have a lot of time to discuss what you're seeing, suggest theories, puzzle through contradictions together, or even just reflect on how beautiful the world is. You'll have dialogue options, multiple pathways you can take, and decisions you must make. My favourite part of the game were the quiet, insightful conversations, playing out in weirdly grounded ways. I felt like each character did feel isolated and scared, and even angry outbursts betrayed the true emotions. Fear, uncertainty, guilt. Many times when I was given an option to stay or go, turn left or right, I could verbally decide one thing and then change my mind by doing the opposite. Characters have things to say when they think you're making an unwise decision, and I appreciate being able to go, well, on second thoughts, and then actually commit to my decision. I haven't had the chance to explore multiple pathways in great detail. Replaying the game is too slow and tedious to try the alternative pathway for my early decisions, but there are different endings. Some are quite devastating, even frightening. Some are a bit less exciting, or unfulfilling. There are a few things I didn't like. It is a walking sim and a beautiful one, but you are at constant risk of backtracking, which happens often because navigating in an alien world is hard, and it wastes a lot of time. I spent an hour combing a cave over and over because the interaction prompt hitbox was ant-sized. And the repetitive filler voice lines. Are you okay, Yasna? You need to keep moving, Yasna. Yasna, report. Which will play anytime you're not actively doing more than walking. Newsflash, walking is 95% of this game. However, I would crest a hill and see a vivid ocean before me, music swelling around me. The Invincible is a stunning game, and one I would recommend. There's nothing quite like looking at the footage from a damaged drone only to find yourself, Yasna, on the last slide, and realize that the drone has actually seen everything, that it saw what took it down. Or to look for people so desperately that you actually start to fear finding someone. To theorize and then to throw that theory out the window because what you're experiencing is so alien, so unusual, so out there on this out there planet that something absurd and whimsical must be the answer. It's a fantastic experience, and one that hasn't left my mind since I finished this game. The Invincible is available on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and Series S, and PC.
My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is
Hazel
and
Rani,
and you're listening to Zed Games. Woo! We're coming up to the end of the year, unless you're listening to this after the new year, in which case we were at the end of the year.
Tell us how the future is.
Tell us how the future is.
It's roughly time for the new year.
Do you two have any games that you're wanting to play over the New Year period?
Well,
So many games. I would just like to play games.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't get to do that.
I would love to say that I'm going to play a new game, but what I'm really craving is like a few hours to sit down and play Trackmania undisturbed.
I think a lot of people might be feeling that way. There's like something about the season that's just like nostalgic. I've been wanting to play
More Tony Hawk.
One of my strongest like summertime gaming memories is playing TF2 on my school laptop when I was like
Disgusting.
14.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
And in order to make it run like at a decent resolution and quality and everything, I had a fan pointed up into the vents of my laptop.
Yeah. How about, this is probably like my like peak summer holiday game experience, is playing Minecraft with my sisters in the living room. We're all on our school laptops.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that the birds have started singing outside because we managed to stay up all night and now the kookaburra is awake. But so
Look,
much fun.
You can't be awake during the day in summer here. It's just too
it's
hot.
not. My brother and I used to play Little Big Planet.
Aww. That's a great game for
Yeah.
siblings.
Oh, and Lego Star Wars.
Oh,
Yes.
that's also a great game for siblings.
Those were our two.
Were you two particularly cooperative when playing video games together?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't remember us not being. I do know that we also would get like, because we grew up in the States, we would walk around the corner to Blockbuster when it still existed, RIP, and we would rent video games. And so you'd have them for like the weekend or the week, and we would just have to like speed run Pokemon games.
Yeah.
In that time. But Pokemon games usually our parents would buy for us, and they would get one of each. So they get like, if it was diamonds.
Oh, smart. Yeah. So
Or
you
like,
can like
yeah.
really maximize it.
Yeah.
I think if I ever had kids, that's the strategy I would employ.
Yeah.
But then you need a third kid that comes along a little bit later for like the third game. Anyway.
And then 10 years on, you need two nearly identical kids, but they look a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Their hair's just cooler, and they got more polygons.
You're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
You're listening to Zed Games on 4ZZZ.
Oi mate, you're listening to Zed Games at 4ZZZ.
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 Got a bit carried away.
Alrighty, it is actually time for us to say goodbye and good night. You were listening to Zed Games. My name is Zahra, and with me in the studio tonight is
Hazel
and
Rani.
And it is time for us to say goodbye.
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 Good night.
Good night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Stay safe.
Stay
Stay
safe.
safe.
And I love you.
I love
I
you.
love you.
Thanks for listening to Zed Games.
If you'd like to listen to more, you can find us on the Community Radio Plus app.
Or find us on socials at ZED Games AU.
See you next time.